Hello everybody, I'm John with Sterling Adaptives, and today we're going to be doing a tutorial on TactileView. And so we're going to break this up into kind of a series of videos. That way people can go to, maybe a specific part if they just have questions about a specific part of things. But this should be a pretty basically broad overview of TactileView and cover 99% of what people need to know to use TactileView and get off and running, creating tactile graphics. Probably won't be able to go into every single minute detail that you can do inside TactileView, but again, I think this will cover the basics for the large majority of people. So our first episode here is going to be on kind of just what is TactileView, some information about it, getting up and running and activated, setting your basic settings to get into TactileView and get going. So when you've installed TactileView, which I'm not going to cover the actual installation itself, but I will talk through it just very briefly. Once you've installed TactileView, and you might have gotten that on, well, probably not a CD. Most people aren't doing CDs anymore, but you can still get a CD if you want it. CD, maybe you got a thumb drive, maybe you got it in an email as a digital download. Once you've downloaded it, you just run an installation file. It's you just hit next through a handful of steps. It installs the software, and basically you're done. You launch it up, and then once you've done that, you'll be greeted with this Welcome to TactileView window where you can go through the configuration wizard. So we're going to start with that. If you have already done this part and maybe you accidentally skipped part of this configuration wizard or kind of missed some things and you're like, how I didn't actually activate and I thought I did, etc., hopefully this will help out with that. So just in case you have skipped this configuration wizard and you want to go through and start where I'm starting, I'll close this out here. You can also go to the help menu and click on configuration wizard, and we'll bring it right back up like it did the very first time you launched the program. So we're going to go ahead and hit start configuration wizard, but actually before I do that, I want to just mention that I'm using TactileView 2.5. TactileView 2.5 came out, well, honestly, it's been probably close to a year ago now for me, anyway. Quite possibly longer since y'all have, or since y'all are watching this. But TactileView 2.5 is the current version at the moment. You may have an older version like TactileView 2.2 something possibly, or you might have a newer version than me if you're watching this in the future, of course. So if that's the case, don't worry. 90% of this, or well, I should say probably 98% of this, is going to be exact same. They have maybe rearranged icons ever so slightly. They might have changed a couple small windows, but for the most part, this really should apply to you and your version with some slight changes, which I will hopefully do updated ad videos later on in the future. But it should look, again, very, very similar to this. So let's go ahead and hit Start Configuration Wizard. Now the first thing that this is, it asks you to activate. Now you'll notice mine says TactileView is already registered, so I've already done my activation process. But if you have not, you should be greeted with two options here, which are to register via the internet, which is the easiest way to do it, or register via a distributor. So if for any reason you're in a secure facility or something like that can't get online, then you would choose the register via the internet option. You'll need to contact your distributor, and they can help you do that. But for 99.9% of people, we probably have internet access, and you will just use the register via the internet thing. Now, this is part of the part that's not super obvious, is when you want to select one of these items, you don't just click on it so it's highlighted and then press next. If you did that, it would actually take you to the next step in the wizard and not actually do the activation. You need to either double click on the option that you want, say register via the internet, or click on it so it's highlighted and then choose the Open Selected Options button. Either one of those would work, but again, if you just click on it once, basically it just highlights it and nothing actually happens, and that's a number of people have accidentally skipped the actual activation because of that. So double click or click it so it's selected and then hit Open Selection. Now again, mine is already registered, so I'm not going to do it, but basically once you've done that, it will open up a window and ask you for your SPC code and your name. Your SPC code, or SPC is short for software product code, or honestly, terminology we're a little bit more familiar with here in the US would be license number. So SPC code or software product code is your license number. And again, you should be given that whether that was emailed to you as a part of the digital download, or maybe given to you on a sheet or something like that. If you got hard copy, you should have your SPC code. And so you want that handy. You'll type in that SPC code, your name, you'll hit activate. and then it will take you to a little web page where you'll just fill in some additional registration information, your name, company, that kind of stuff. And when you're completed with that, it should then activate your TactileView, and then you'll be ready to go on to the next step here. So if I hit next, we're actually not even going to worry about all these different options. Some of these really you just don't, quite frankly, you don't need to worry about. I'm going to focus in on the ones that you really, really do actually want to set up, especially as you're going through this for the first time. All of these options can be done through the menu systems regardless or outside of the configuration wizard as well. So if you skip this and you just want to go do one of these things, it can be done from the menu too. So again, if you skipped your configuration wizard and don't want to go back and do it all, not a big deal. But you will want to come in here for the activation part. So the first kind of area of concern that we really want to get set up is where it says print setup. So again, you can't just simply click on it once. You do need to either double click or click on it so it's selected and hit open selection. So I'll go ahead and double click on print setup. And in here, you'll choose your embosser model, which I have chosen the Index Basic DV5, but you could choose whatever model you have, as well as choosing your paper size here. These are important for two reasons. A, the paper size will be your default paper size for all new created documents. But B, the embosser model you have selected. TactileView actually knows each embosser model, and it knows the tactile graphics capabilities or the way they do tactile graphics from one another as well. And so there are some features like doing a print preview or a dot view, which we'll talk about in later on videos, but those actually reference your embosser model to know how to display that information correctly to you and give you like an actual true Braille accurate rendering before you emboss. And so again, that's going to be reflected based off of the printer you have set up in here. So go ahead and do this. If again you've skipped the configuration wizard, you can also just go to File and then Print Setup inside there and do the exact same thing. This whole install Braille printer thing, you probably don't need to concern yourself with this. This is really only for older model Braille printers that weren't really true, technically true Braille tactile graphics printers. The first ones that come to mind are the older enabling Romeo and Juliet series. Those certain ones, I should say, not all of them, the old models, those could do some very rudimentary tactile graphics, but they weren't like official real tactile graphics printer, and so you had to use this install Braille printer thing to set those up. But any kind of current model, the Indexes, the Tigers, the new Romeo and Juliets, not a concern. You can just simply select it in the print setup and it does it for you. Only if you have one of the older ones and you want to try to use them for tactile graphics, that's where you use the install Braille printer option. Again, I'm honestly, if you really want to, go ahead. I'm honestly not even going to recommend you use those older embossers because their tactile graphics resolution is so poor. It is just frankly a terrible tactile graphics. So not my first recommendation there, but if you want to take a crack at it, you can. Anyway, we're going to skip over here to where it says Braille tables. We're going to double click on this item and open this up. This is definitely a source of confusion for people because the naming scheme is confusing at best, we'll say. So you'll notice on the window, usually it's in the bottom left-hand corner, but again, this has been reformatted, this window a little bit, but you should have effectively the same options, maybe just laid out slightly different than I do. But you have this all these different Braille tables down here, and they're named interesting. Like this says AW-IN-G1-UTB. Like, what the heck is that, right? So basically, the first couple letters are going to be your language. The second couple letters are going to be the Braille code. And the last couple letters, or letter and number in this case, are going to be your grade. So G1 would be grade 1. So we want to look for English ones because we're in the US here. So I'm going to go down to the ENs. So EN stands for English. So I scroll down, here we are. Here's some ENs. Now I'm going to go through this list here, and I'm going to look for EN, again, English. Then I'm going to look for -UEB. So that would be Unified English Braille, UEB. And then I'm going to look for -G2, which is going to be grade 2 Braille. So first couple letters, language, second couple letters, Braille code. The last ones are going to be your grade. And then once you have it selected, or even if this was still confusing, you can go through each individual one, and there's kind of a field over to the side here, which gives you more information. Namely, in here, I can see that one I have selected is Unified English Braille Code, and in parentheses, it says grade 2, letting me know it's contracted. But of course, you could choose G1 if you want uncontracted Braille or something like that. The other thing I want to just point out and talk about super quick, since I'm already right here, is there's one for EN-UEB-Math, English Unified Braille Math. Now, For those who are using Nemeth, like we are in California, you will probably choose Nemeth in a little bit different place, which I will show in just a minute. So the reason UEB Math is in here kind of as its own table, as where Nemeth is not in here as its own table, is because UEB, the full math code, has not been entirely integrated throughout the program here. If you want to do UEB Math, you can do it, but you need to kind of toggle yourself between UEB Grade 2 and UEB Math when you're writing math or when you're writing literary. With Nemeth, it is fully integrated into the program, and I should mention that hopefully in the future they will have UEB Math also fully integrated, but at the moment it's not. You do have to choose it as an individual code. When you are doing Nemeth Math, there'll be a place again a little bit later on where it basically automatically lets you choose Nemeth labeling and stuff like that for your Braille code. So we'll get to that in just a second. Anyway, English Unified Braille Grade 2 is what I want, so I'm going to select that and press OK. And now all of my Braille labels will be in Grade 2 Braille. Now that is also something you can change on the fly. So if you want a mix of different languages or different Braille codes or different Braille grades or something like that, you can actually change that on the fly through this little upper icon that looks kind of like a little Braille cell up here. You can click on it and then choose Braille tables and then and do multiple Braille tables within the same document. In this place, it's kind of setting our default one that we're going to use going forward. Again, these other things really aren't super necessary where we're at right now. I will talk about things like text label and presentation and things like that a little bit later on. So these are, again, we're just going to focus on the things that are important to get set up right out the gate as you're getting going with TactileView. So we're going to go ahead and hit next. And we have a few more things we want to look at here, namely this general section. So if I click on this general item, again, we've got to double click or hit the open selection button to open that up. And then there's a couple things in here. You can fill out your name as the author as well as your email address. This is going to be for if you're creating tactile graphics that you wouldn't mind sharing or would like to share. TactileView actually has a collaborative database of tactile graphics, which is honestly fantastic. So if you would like to share anything that you've made, you are not required to, FYI, but if you make something and you're like, hey, you know what, this would be super valuable so the next person could just use this, you can upload those designs to TactileView's online catalog of tactile graphics so that you can share it with others, so they may not have to recreate it. And we'll talk about that catalog as well, and if you want to get something from it in a future video. But for creating these tactile graphics, you can put your name and your email address in there, and so that way you get credit as the author for it when and if you do that. More importantly, though, what I would like to point you to is where it says units of measurement that are used in the status bar, and there's a little drop-down menu, and you can choose pixels, millimeters, centimeters, or inches. Now, I've already gone in and set mine earlier to inches, but by default, it uses centimeters. So if you are placing something and you want to use, a certain type of measurement, or if you're using some of the grid lines or rulers that they have, and you want it to be in inches rather than centimeters, this is where you need to come select it. So I prefer to do everything in inches because I'm just most familiar with that unit of measurement. Of course, you could choose something else, but by default, this will be centimeters, so you very well may want to come change that to your preferred unit of measurement. And then we're just going to hit OK. You really don't need to worry about anything else on that page at the moment. That's all we really need to worry about for this step. Go ahead and hit the next button inside the configuration wizard to the last thing here. And we want to change one more thing where it says mathematical notation. Again, we're going to double click to open that up. And for me, because I'm a Nemeth user, again, in Northern California, or all of California for that matter, and many other states in the US still using Nemeth Math instead of UEB Math, I want to come in here and I want to select Nemeth as my code. This will default my math stuff that I do, or my graphs and things like that, to use Nemeth labels rather than literary labels, for example. Again, this is where I was talking about earlier with UEB Math back in the Braille table kind of area. UEB has not been integrated in here fully. You could just use linear text that would basically just be like literary labeling, basically, is what it would be, which I think you could get away with that for possibly somebody who needs UEB Math if you wanted to. So you could try one of these other codes instead if you wanted to, and see if they would work as a substitute for you. You might need to make some changes, or as we're doing math stuff, you will also have the option to choose no labels for, say, graphs, and put in your own UEB labels if you wanted to. But for the stuff that auto labels for us, thankfully we can choose Nemeth, and that's what I'm going to do there. So go ahead and hit next and finish, and that's going to complete our configuration wizard. Now again, if you had already activated or something, or already closed the configuration wizard and you want to get back to it, you go to help in configuration wizard and walk through all those same things. Or alternatively, if you just need to change one of those individual settings, we can go to file and print setup. This is where we can do that print setup we talked about before. You can do that there. You can also go to settings and then Braille tables. This is where you can adjust the Braille tables like we did. You can also go to settings and then general, set our units of measurement and things like that there. So you can go back basically and do all those same things outside of the configuration wizard if you wanted to. But those are, in my opinion, the most important things to kind of get set up before you really get into designing your tactile graphics. So with that, we're going to go ahead and pause for this and end this video here, and we'll start up our next video talking about some of these kind of tools and different control panel options at the top. And so we'll see you in the next one.